Welcome to the Cornbread and Kool-Aid podcast. My name is Demetrius. With me, as always, super producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Ward. This podcast is for fans of the Detroit Lions and really Detroit sports in general. Anybody who's watched or listened before, you know what we do here. You know how we get down, as they say. So um, we dropped another one. This is our third one in a little over a week, and Mike and I have been looking for different things we could do, different ways to keep the podcast interesting, make the podcast a little more versatile, right? Whole lot of me, and we thought we need to get more people. Let's do some uh, some interviews. Let's share some content. So I started to reach out, find people, and say, hey, if you want to join, let's talk. Anybody who might want to come on, um, we can do that because that's what we want the podcast to be. And so I'm seeing some people already joining the Twitter side. We got people, someone from Germany. Hi, Angela. Thank you for joining. Another guy named Dick Lane, which is just way too cool if his name really is Dick Lane. That's awesome. So today we're going to do an interview. We're going to talk about former Lions great, former NFL great, not just former Lions great, Dick Night Train Lane. And his son Richard reached out to me and said, "Hey, I see you do this podcast. I'd love to join. Talk a little bit about my dad." And it's exactly what Mike and I have been wanting to do. Instead of just me breaking down games or breaking down the draft, we thought maybe we can talk about if there's some younger people who don't realize who Dick Night Train Lane is or was, who don't understand just how good he was, what he did. That might be kind of fun. So I thought we'll shake it up a little bit. Appreciate anyone who's listening. If you like the podcast, please find a way to let us know. Whether it's jumping on like Dick and Angela have done, we really appreciate it, or hitting us on the Twitter feed or at Cornbread Pod or wherever you can. We appreciate it. We want to grow and expand. We want more people to know about our Detroit Lions and our Detroit sports. So, one of the things we're going to do is so when we talk about great former players, which I haven't done a lot of, and I've wanted to do, one of the things we always do is just try and understand their impact in the larger scope of the league. And so when you think about somebody like Dick Night Train Lane, there's a generation, potentially two generations of people who don't know. A Night Train Lane's career was over when I was born, and I consider myself an old head. So you probably have to be a real Lions fan, a real football fan, or maybe someone who knows Dick Night Train Lane or knew Dick Night Train Lane to really appreciate how good he was. But to do it, there's always context, and I'll start with just how good he was. Right. I think that there are things, statistics, and things you can say, and people will say, oh, the game is different, players are different. I'm here to tell you, Dick Night Train Lane could have played this game in any era, at any time. He was that good. He played 14 years, and there's a piece of that is interesting because he served in the military for 4 years. So you can only imagine how good he would have been if he had the 4 years at the beginning of his career right back. So think about that. But he played for the LA Rams, he played for the Chicago Cardinals, and of course, he finished his career with our Detroit Lions. But as a rookie in 1952, he had 14 interceptions in one season. Now here's the thing: that was a record then for interceptions in a season, and it's still a record right now. 65 years later, it's still a record, or more than that. It is remarkable how good he was at what he did, and he did it as a rookie, right? He made the Pro Bowl 7 times. He was all first team 7 times, all second team 3 times. So 14 years, 10 of them he was all first team or all second team. He was good for a long time, and I love interactive. So the Dick Lane who's watching, and I so appreciate his name is Dick Lane. I can't get over that. The Dick Lane who's watching is just reminded me, which is great. They only played 12 games back then, right? That's a big deal. So you think about, and you think about like the way he's big physical corner. Think about Mel Blount or Rod Woodson, somebody of that ilk. But he was so great at jumping routes, reading quarterbacks, just all the skills you want in a great corner. And so he just was. He was a great corner at his time. He's a great corner. He would be a great corner now. That's my thoughts on that. So we want to talk a little bit more about him. I think his 68 career interceptions ranked second at the time he retired, and it still is one of the most, like I said, because they only played 12 games, as was mentioned. That's just a remarkable feat. And so a lot of times history causes us to lose sight of how good someone was or is or should be remembered. And uh, this was just great when Richard reached out. I thought, I don't think people remember how good Dick Night Train Lane was. And so to me, he was a ferocious tackler. And in 14 years, he went to the Hall of Fame in 1974. And there's so much more to him than just what he did on the football field. He was the first African American in the Detroit Lions front office at a day and time where we spend a lot of time talking about diversity in coaching and leadership in the National Football League. Night Train worked in the Lions front office in the 60s. Um, eh, that's important to note. Not to mention the Lions have had coaches and have a current GM who's African American. So while we hear this stuff, I like to think my team my team doesn't fit into that mold. And all the things people want to say about the Lions, you can't say that about the Lions. History doesn't allow you to say that. So the guy like Dick Night Train Lane, who was clearly one of the best at what he did, transitioned into a front office role with the Lions. And then he worked in the community. He worked with the police athletic league, and I guess every city doesn't have a police athletic league, so it's not as well known. But Detroit PAL's a big deal in the city of Detroit, for those of you who know. And he worked for them for 17 years, and that organization did a lot for young boys and girls. Whatever you want to talk about, the relationship between young people and the community and law enforcement, the Police Athletic League is very, very important part of Metro Detroit. And there are boys and girls who are adults now, men and women who were boys and girls, who will testify to the influence that the Police Athletic League had on their lives. I will speak highly of that league. Build character, help strengthen community relations, and quite frankly, kept kids out of trouble, kept them off the streets, kept them away from drugs. That's an organization that did a lot. I also thought it was kind of interesting how Dick Lane acquired the nickname Night Train, and I always wondered about it. And you could probably Google it. I think when I found out, kind of a fan of blues and jazz music, and there's a great blues song called Night Train, and most of you have probably heard the song and appreciated the song. You may not know the title of the song. So you've heard it in a movie, you've heard it in a jazz or blues club somewhere, and it's a very, very well known and popular song. But apparently, one of his teammates in training camp played this song a lot, and he sort of took a liking to it, and that's how he got the nickname, and it just sort of stuck. This is early 50s, so if you like blues and jazz, you can go back and look up the Jimmy Forrest classic Night Train, and you'll probably recognize, oh yeah, I know that song, whether, like I said, it's from a commercial or a movie or something like that. So that's how he acquired the name. I think one of the biggest things that I thought to myself was, how do you quantify how good someone is, how important they are to an organization? And I could continue to roll off the stats for Night Train. I really could, while I'm waiting for Richard to join us, and he hit me up. He'll be with us shortly. I'm not just killing time. I have a ton to say. So because Dick Night Train Lane is in the Lions, we don't call it the Ring of Honor. Sorry, it's called the, how do I not know this? Pride of Lions. I think it's actually cute little name. That's what it's called, or One Pride. I should know that. I should know what that's called. I think it's called Pride of Lions. But he is in that group, and he deserves to be in that group. When he was traded to the Lions back in 1960, Joe Schmidt, and if you're a Lions fan and you're watching this, my guess is you know who Joe Schmidt is. Everything I just said about the cornerback position and Night Train Lane, fill in Joe Schmidt, the predecessor to Chris Spielman, at the linebacker position. And again, old heads will appreciate it. Joe Schmidt was the guy before Chris Spielman showed up, and Chris Spielman might sit down and say to you, "I'm no Joe Schmidt." Um, Joe Schmidt called it one of the greatest trades that'll ever be made in sports when the Lions acquired Night Train Lane. That's what Joe Schmidt thought of Dick Night Train Lane. So it's easy to figure out and see exactly what he meant to the team. We talked a bit about what he meant to the community in Detroit. And so as soon as we are able to get his son Richard on the line, we'll talk a bit about Night Train, the dad, Night Train post retirement, because, like I said, he accomplished a lot and did a lot after his career was over. And so it wasn't just about the player. Sometimes it's important to understand and get a perspective that none of us will ever know. What was it like growing up in the house? And Richard is close to my age, so his dad had already retired from football by the time he was born. But while we're waiting, we can talk a little bit more about the current Lions. I want to get Richard's thoughts on the current Lions as well. I think we've all, digested the draft now, and we're starting to look for camps and activities that the team does, and we'll get a look at Hard Knocks this year. Should be good. I didn't touch a lot on Hard Knocks and what that's going to be like. They'll be in the training camp of the Detroit Lions this year, and we'll get a real glimpse inside. You guys know me and who I am and how I feel about them, but we have all the time, all summer, to talk about what Hard Knocks is going to be like, and what it's going to be like this year. And so now I'm going to add our friend without further ado. So the quick story is when he reached out, right, and talked to me, I said, Mr. Lane, and his response said, hey, Mr. Lane is in heaven. I'm Richard. So then he messed up and he told me his friends call him Rev, and I was like, wait, we right? So we talked for like an hour, and I said, "Oh no, I'm sorry. I've decided we're friends. So going forward, I'm calling him Red, whether he was okay with it or not." So again, I'm really, I'm honored. It's my pleasure to be joined by the founder of Richard Lane Ministries, and obviously I've talked a little bit about it going in. Son of Dick Night Train Lane. I want to welcome Evangelist Richard Lane to the show. Rev, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate having you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly. It's great to be with you.
Yeah. So it is what we wanted to do with the podcast, because I'm just and a lot of people don't know. I say it a lot. The podcast is called the Cornbread and Kool-Aid Podcast because I love this football team. I'm unapologetic. I saw that I was at the Silverdome when I was like 9, and that was it for me. Right. So I tell people I eat Lions cornbread and I drink blue Kool-Aid every day. And I won't apologize for it. This is my team, and people can make their jokes. The draft is a Super Bowl. I don't really care, but it is great that I get a chance to do something like this. And once we talked for a few minutes, it was easy, and I said, "Yeah, I got to have this guy on the show." People, I ran down his stats and talked about, he can play in any era. And what I'm hoping you'll do is first talk to us a little bit about you, tell us about yourself, and then I want to get into things like, I think you were born after his playing career, right? He had already retired by the time you were born. So
Yeah, he retired in 65 and 66. So he retired the year after I was born. You
okay.
can see right here how much of a diehard Lions fan I am
Right,
right there.
right.
One of
Exactly.
one of my kids, one of the kids, I work at a church. It's in Toledo. It's called St. Patrick's of Heatherdowns, and we got a school there. And one of my second grade kids, they asked me, I was like, "What's your favorite football team?" I was like, "I'm a diehard Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings,
Exactly.
Michigan State fan." And so that's what they gave me right there. I've
That's
got
nice.
ink. I'm not gonna get undressed on your show.
Oh,
I
you
got
should have showed up with no shirt on. Come
so
on.
no,
Come on, Rev.
I've got so you remember what's her name? You the girl that died from the girl group T-Boz and
Yeah.
uh
Left eye. Lisa
Left
Loman.
Eye. So
Yeah.
Left Eye had that tattoo for Andre Rison, a number 80 with a falcon come out of it. So when Dad passed away, I got the number 81 with
Nice.
the Detroit Lion in the middle. So
Yes.
I go out and I got my shirt off, and people are like, "Man, you must be hurt bad." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't know what long suffering is." But I
Right.
was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and it was great growing up in Detroit. I used to say Detroit's a great place to be from because it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
great growing up.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
recently moved back to Detroit about 4 years ago, and
Okay.
I've lived all over the world, and Detroit has always been home for me. I mean,
Yeah.
especially, and I've always been a Lions fan. Um, I was blessed to be able to go to. I went to the Super Bowl um, at the Silverdome. I believe it was, I think it was 82, 83. No, not 81, 82,
81,
somewhere around
81.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I went to that Super Bowl. Um, I got a chance. I do remember my mom taking me to some football games at Tiger Stadium
Nice.
back in the day.
Nice.
And that was when football was really football.
Different.
I
Yeah.
mean, those Thanksgiving Day games, and you're out there freezing, and it's cold and raining, and you're watching the Lions getting their butts kicked by the Packers or by the Bears. But it's about that experience.
It is.
It was about that experience. It was that experience of watching Billy Sims back in the day. It was
Absolutely.
it was all about watching Eric Hipple and Joey Harrington.
The list. The
I can
list,
go back
right?
to Danny White.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy back in the day, man. Where
I can't leave. I can't do any quarterback list and not have uh uh Greg Landry, right? Greg
I'm
Landry's
sorry,
got to be.
Danny White, boy, I got the
You
Cowboys.
meant Greg Landry, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I
Greg
was
Lynch.
thinking
Yeah,
about it. Yeah, yeah.
Lord
But
have mercy.
Hippo and all those guys, right? It is something that I always tell people. I don't ever feel that sort of, oh, poor you, you're a Lions fan. I said, no, I don't. I'm not that guy. You need to tell me that. I love my team. I know who my team is, and we're going to get it right. And there, oh, first of all, I gotta let you know because you can't see him. We got a couple of people joining us live, and it's awesome because there's a gentleman watching the podcast. His name's Dick Lane.
Oh
And
God,
it's just too good, right? And
Jesus.
he has already put in a request. He wants you to show us the ring. So I assume he's saying your dad has a ring, right? Or
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'll forward the request, Dick Lane. I'll ask him, right?
yeah. That's
Uh,
that's my big brother from Dallas, Texas. So years ago, I'm on Facebook, all over Facebook, and he knows I hate the Dallas Cowboys. And I mean, God says you shouldn't hate, but there's two things I hate: Dallas Cowboys and Ohio State. I'm
exactly.
sorry, and it's in that order. And so he's like, "Yeah, my name's Dick Lane, Richard Lane." I'm like, "Yeah, right, whatever."
Yeah,
His name is Dick Lane,
yeah,
and we met when I was in Dallas, and he picked me up from the airport. That's how bad he is. He picked me up from the airport in his car. He got a freaking Dallas Cowboy
uh,
star on the side of his car.
uh, yeah.
And then we get in and he starts playing that stupid song, We Them Boys. You know, I'm like, man, you just flew me out here just to piss me off.
he,
So,
he did.
but yeah,
He's wearing
so
a cowboy hat. Oh, there it is.
there
There
are
it is.
thousands of Super Bowl rings out there. Even Charlie Batch has a Super Bowl ring.
Nice.
But
Okay.
there's less than 400 of these. This is Dad's Hall of Fame ring.
Yes, sir.
So he went in
Well deserved.
1974. Matter of fact, the Detroit Lions are the only team that I can remember that had back-to-back Hall of Fame cornerbacks,
Wow.
Night Train
Yeah.
Lane and then Lem Barney.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dad was instrumental in recruiting Lem Barney when Lem broke into the league in 67 or 68 from an HBCU, Jackson State.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's outstanding. I think, yeah, he's wearing his cowboy hat in his picture. So I should have known something was wrong there.
Yeah,
But
that's a start. He's a bot, man.
yeah, that's all right. I appreciate people listening in. I hope they enjoyed. You want to talk a little bit about your ministry? I don't want to. I certainly don't want to neglect that. Let's tell people what you're all about.
Well, the Lord blessed me about 18 years ago. I came into the Catholic Church. I'm a Catholic evangelist, and became Catholic April 2003. I was raised in a Lutheran church. My mama took me to church kicking and screaming every Sunday, like every good black mama does, and you gonna go to church. We ain't
You're
had no
going.
choice. Dad, and a lot of people ask me, well, was Dad religious? Dad had his own walk with the Lord. Yeah, Dad would show up to church on Sundays. He was an usher. He played golf with the pastor. He loved to be Mr. Night Train Lane. Uh, but so I developed my own walk with the Lord, and I came into the church, and if you want to call it, got saved on April 19th, 2003. About 2 years later, you've seen them street preachers out on the street corners,
Yes, sir.
preaching. That was me in St. Louis, Missouri. I was trying to, I wasn't, out there trying to say, either believe in Jesus or go to hell. I wasn't that type of brother. I was just trying to get people to come in, and I started ministering to dope dealers, pimps, hustlers, prostitutes, crackheads. Matter of fact, I got the title Evangelist was bestowed upon me by a crackhead.
Oh, wow.
His name was Cato. Never forget it.
Nice.
And that's where I met the face of Jesus, man, out on the street corners. And long story short, the Lord, they started asking me to come and preach and speak in other churches around the country, around the world. And so for 18 years, the Lord has blessed me to travel to 22 different countries. I've preached in 41 different states on 3 different continents. And it's all just from, standing out on the street corners and just doing what the Lord wanted me to do. And now I'm director of evangelization for a Catholic church here in Toledo, Ohio, and called St. Patrick's of Heatherdowns. It's a great, wonderful, wonderful church, even though it's in this hideous state of Ohio. But real quick,
you're gonna make all kinds of enemies on my podcast.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
I mean, I don't mind.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no Buckeye. Amen. So come on now.
Lovely.
But
lovely.
My father used to say, Dad used to tell me all the time. He said, boy, go wherever you at. Tell them who you are. Tell them who you are.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, what you mean? Tell them who I am. I ain't nobody. I'm your son. I'm nobody. And so, I get people all the time. You gonna be a pro football player like your dad when you grow up? It's like, really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
You expect me to try to walk in them shoes? No, bro.
Right.
I'm good on that.
Yeah. How soon did you realize that? Did you say because there had to be this moment, right, where you were like, okay, my dad is a big deal. Now to you, he might just be dad because that's all you know, but people treated your dad differently, right? People talked to your dad in a different way,
man,
right?
That was just dad. It was just
right?
dad. Uncle Joe was Uncle Joe. Uncle Jesse was Uncle Jesse. Uncle Charlie was just Uncle Charlie. I know Uncle Joe used to be a pretty good boxer. Joe Lewis.
Get out of here. Come on now.
I didn't know Uncle Jesse could run pretty fast. Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
I didn't know Uncle Charlie, was this famous black golfer, Charlie Sip. It was just friends that came over to the house. Uncle Red used to be the one that you had that cussed all the time. Uncle Red Fox. We had this, this other crazy uncle who was short, black, and wore this little patch on his eye. Used to dance and sing. Uncle Sammy.
You're killing me.
I just thought these people, I thought everybody, knew Uncle
Everybody's
Sam.
your uncle. Everybody's your uncle, right?
Yeah. So, it wasn't until probably I was about 9, 10 years old that I kind of really realized, okay. Matter of fact, it was when Dad was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame. I was like,
tipped you off. It tipped you off, right?
I guess he was kind of famous. But it's like when I was growing up, we couldn't go anywhere without Dad stopping and signing autographs. And it took me a while to really understand it. At one time in my teenage years, I kind of got upset with it because I wanted just a regular dad, somebody to be there for me. But I realized that, what, this is my mission in life. I have to sacrifice as a family member. And that's what a lot of celebrity children, a lot of people don't understand about celebrity children. They think a lot of us are spoiled, or a lot of us have been, we've lived a blessed life, but you don't know what it's like to grow up as Night Train Lane Jr. You don't know how hard it is to grow up as Michael Jordan Jr. or Magic Johnson Jr. or, the Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali's son, or whatever. We never have our own identity. And so it wasn't until years after Dad died that I was like, you know what? He was right. I am going to tell him who I am. I'm proud of being, number one, a son of God. Number two, I'm proud of who my earthly father was, and the legacy that he left for me, for his grandchildren, for his great-grandchildren. His legacy will never die. And my job is to continue to tell his story.
Absolutely, absolutely. I talked to a friend of mine when you and I first chatted. He said, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Yeah, I wanna go in this direction. I think there's an interesting story about what you do, just how you were brought to God. I think there is a story that you just told, which is what it's like being Night Train Junior, for lack of a better term. Night. But then I think, how was it like just your relationship with him? And I think you've kind of said it, Uncle Sammy. I don't have an Uncle Sammy, and it's not Sammy Davis Jr. That's for sure, right? My brother is watching, and he's commenting over there now, and it's like we all had those guys. My dad had friends. He had a guy, Willie Earl. Me and my brother Kenny loved that guy. That guy cracked.
Yeah.
Wasn't Sammy Davis Jr. or Red Fox though. So like once that dawned on you, like I think you said it's what 10, 12, 14ish, maybe that age, when you realize, does it affect your relationship with your dad, or is just dad is still just dad?
It did. That's a great question. It did affect my relationship with him once I got to be about 14, 15 years old. As the old folks say, once I started to smell myself. That's when it really affected my relationship, because I wanted him to be there. Right. I wanted him to help me learn how to tie a tie, to shine my shoes. I wanted him to be a father. I didn't care about Uncle Red. And is that Muhammad Ali behind you?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, 1995, Dad is in San Francisco. Yes, and he's signing autographs. And my daughter's 2 years old at that time. He's at this big autograph show, and he says, "Go upstairs. Muhammad is upstairs. He want to see you." I was like, he don't want to see me. And he was like, "Richard, go upstairs and see Muhammad." I was like, all right, no problem. Can you imagine some idiot saying, "Yeah, okay, I guess
I know. I'll leave." Right. You could tell because he's over my shoulder. You can imagine how I feel about him. I got 15 Ali t-shirts, and you're like, maybe I'll go talk to Muhammad Ali. Like, come on.
So I go up there and I take my daughter, and and he looks at me like as if to say, "I know you from somewhere." I said, "Yeah, I'm Night Train's boy." He's like, "Come here, boy. Come here, boy." And he gave me a big hug, and my daughter got around his neck, and she gave him a kiss. And I got a picture of that. Yeah. I've led a blessed life, man. My dad called me. He was in Southern California. I was in Oakland. 1989. He calls me. He says, he like, "What you doing, boy?" I said, "I'm in the Army." I said, "I'm working." He said, your man asked me to call you and see if you wanted to come down and play golf with him." I was like, "Oh, who's that?" He said, "Mr. Ford." I was like, "Nah." I said, "Dad, I'm working." This is former President Gerald Ford.
Oh my God! I thought you meant William Clay Ford. That's even better. That's even better.
No, okay. The other Ford.
You ain't got time to play golf with the president. Okay.
I'm like, "Dad,
you making people mad on my podcast. I'm just letting you know they ain't happy." Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm like, "Dad, no." I said, "I'm working, Dad." He said, "Richard," he said, "Former President Gerald Ford asked me if you would come down and play golf with him." I said, "All right, I'll be there." I drove down.
I guess I'll do you a favor, Dad. Right?
I got a chance to play golf with Gerald Ford and Bob Hope.
Oh,
that was a hell of a day.
That's good stuff, man.
But the answer to your question is, there were times where I just wanted a dad to be there. I didn't want to be Night Train Lane's son. Yeah. I felt as if I was a trophy. Yeah, this is my son, good looking son, but it took me until I was a lot older to realize that we all have to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
And as a young person, as a young man coming into yourself, you don't realize that.
Right.
You want what you want right then and there.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, you're supposed to be this big time football player. Well, damn, why don't you throw the football with me?" Now he did force golf on me. Oh my God. Right. If I ever didn't know where my father was, all I'd have to do was just go to 7 Mile in Livernois. He was at Palmer Park Golf Course, 7 Mile in Woodward. He was there every day playing golf and playing dominoes.
Nice. Question: was he any good? At some point, he had to be pretty good, right?
Dude was the beast. He
Yeah.
was a beast.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, dude, in this little bitty golf course in Detroit, Michigan, it's a public golf course,
Yeah. Yep.
piece of crap golf course, but everybody loved it. You would have
I
people
played it. Yeah.
coming out there. Night Train Lane is out there playing.
Yeah.
Pete, oh my God, Pete Rose came out and played. Lee Trevino came out and played.
Wow.
Of course, Muhammad played. Joe Lewis came out and played. That was his course all the time. Calvin Pete used to come out there all the time. Uncle Lee Elder would come out all the time. I mean, you never knew what celebrity was going to show up at this little bitty hole-in-the-wall golf course.
Yes, sir.
It was wonderful. I did know Mr. Ford, Mr. William Clay Ford. So every Thanksgiving, Mr. Ford would invite us over to his house in Grosse Pointe. So we would go, and it is kind of weird knowing that I used to sit on the front lawn and play with little Billy. And now Billy, Billy is Big Billy running
Ford Motor Company. Right? Exactly. The guy leading Ford Motor Company. So do you have a relationship with the Lions now? Are you involved at all with them now?
No.
Too busy doing your own thing, right?
I used to be one of the former director of communications, Tim Pendell. Whenever I needed something, I could always call him. And Tim was just a great asset to the Detroit Lions for many, many years. Tim retired about 6 or 7 years ago. So as a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I never went to a Lions game. My first Lions game at Ford Field was Thanksgiving Day of last year.
Wow.
That was my first game there.
Yeah.
And I paid the $250 for the 40-yard line seats.
Yes, sir.
Lions did. I called the Lions. They didn't give me a break.
Hey, you made that call though, right?
Oh, I made the call. One thing I learned from my old man, like the song said, I ain't too proud to beg.
Right.
I ain't too proud to beg.
Oh man, that's great.
But it was nice to go out there. They almost won.
They did almost. What do you think right now? I like so my brother who's listening, and he probably gonna start typing in comments. I am, like I said, I'm a cornbread eater. I'm an optimist by nature. The regular guy, me, always thinks that glass is half full. I'm sorry, I don't care what you're saying. That glass is half full. So I like what I see Brad Holmes doing, what they're doing organizationally, and I'm super excited about it. You can feel free to tell. I already see it on your face. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Tell me what you think, right? And there's a whole lot of they've never done, they've never been. My brother is typing the word cheap right now. I know, but
yeah,
what
yeah. Your brother is smart. He the smart. He the smart.
Look at this. He is listening now. You done blowing him up now. His name's Kenny, and he's listening right now. He's typing in comments.
Kenny, you my dude, man. You my dude.
Oh, Rev, you killing me right now. I gotta hear this, Rev.
Here's my analogy. The Lions are like that ex-wife.
All right.
She was fine back in the day.
Oh, man.
But after about 10, 15 years, you realize why you divorced her. But then after you go about 5, 6, 10 years later, she come back, she like, damn, she look kind of good.
Yep.
Then you start talking to her again. Then all of a sudden, she lets you realize you know why you divorced her. That's how the Lions are. That's how the Lions are. I'm like, come on. It's like I try every year. First 2 games, it's like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. Third game, it's like, okay, here they go. Lions, here they go. My point is this. And we're not talking Lions no more after this.
Right.
When's the last time the Lions had a championship?
1957.
Okay. So since 1957, and I think do you know when William Clay Ford bought the Lions? I want to say it was like 59.
Yep. 58, 59, yeah.
Okay, let's
somewhere in there.
let's just say for all intents and purposes, 60.
Yep.
So what has not changed from 1960 to 2022? I love Mr. God rest your
Right.
soul, Mr. Ford. I love Martha Ford. I met her when I was a kid. She fed me. Thank God. God bless you, Mrs. Ford. But what's the one thing that has not changed since 1960? They even changed locations. They even changed locations. They left Frank Stadium. They left Tiger Stadium. They went to Pontiac. They in downtown Detroit. They hosted 3 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowls. What's the one consistent thing? Ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership. You got to pay. You know, somehow, some way, you've got to find your niche. I know Mark Davis. I knew Al Davis very well. He and Dad were like that. Whenever we went to the Super Bowl, Mr. Davis always took care of us. I met Mark Davis 3 years ago in Canton, Ohio. Loved Mark Davis. He's got that maverick spirit like his daddy. Mark Davis is sitting up there saying, you know what? If I need a quarterback this year, I'm going to pull Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to give him a shot. You know, it's like, why can't we do something crazy? Do something crazy that's going to put some people in the seat. I go see Colin Kaepernick, you know?
I don't need crazy. I just need wins. Okay. All right, it's fine. I'm gonna invite you back to the show when it happens. So that's fine. Okay, you and my brother both gonna be on the same show, and I'm gonna have a plate full of blue cornbread for y'all.
Dude, go out and find an established head coach. Stop recycling stuff. Go find somebody. Pay some. Mama always said, "You get what you pay for." You get what you pay for. The Matt Patricia thing, I knew that wasn't going to work out in the first place. I knew that wasn't going to work out.
You're just making my brother way too happy right now.
I knew that wasn't going to work out. Jim Caldwell was a beast.
Jim Caldwell
was a beast. They just needed to give him more opportunity and more time. Look at what happened with Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay. Tony built that championship Bucks team. They fired him, and then who came in? Gruden came in and won with Dungy's system. Yeah. Well, Dungy won it in Indianapolis. Yep. We need to go out and find a Tony Dungy. Go out and find your Mike Tomlin. Yeah. Go out and find your. Did I almost say Bobby Ross? Ooh.
You did not. You did not say. We don't even say that name on this podcast. What is happening? Lord, no, we don't say that name.
I rebuke thee, Satan.
I don't really disagree with you. I just think we focus on the wrong position. I did a whole podcast on why the Lions have not been good, and I think it's the executive position. I think that what I've heard over years, because it was before my time, things about Russ Thomas and how he ran the organization. Chuck Schmidt was an accountant.
Let's go back to Joe Schmidt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Even back then, that's even more. Yes. Chuck Schmidt in the 80s and 90s ran it like a business. And quite frankly, those were the golden years with Barry, and we made the playoffs sometimes. That was the golden years. We all know what Matt Millen did to this organization.
He is persona non grata in the state of Michigan.
I don't even like to say his name.
Don't you ever step foot in the state, bro.
And I think what Mayhew did some good things, but he passed on Aaron Rodgers and took Eric Ebron, and I'll never forgive him for it.
Oh, God.
Right? Oh. And I think Bob Quinn came in all along thinking, I'm doing what I did in New England. And he just made the simple mistake of firing Jim Caldwell and standing on the podium and saying 9-7 isn't good enough. Man, we haven't sniffed 9-7 since Jim Caldwell left. And I don't know that Caldwell would have gotten us a Super Bowl. I don't know that. I know he would have been better than Matt Patricia.
Thank you.
But now I believe Brad Holmes was the right hire. I'm a Brad Holmes guy. I love Brad Holmes. I think we're gonna get there. And you and my brother, y'all should break bread because y'all on the same page.
Matter of fact, we should not only break bread, we should drink some scotch and smoke some cigars.
He will do all those things with you, and we will set something like that up. One thing I wanted to mention, though, I know that let's talk about your mom a little bit. I saw a note. Was your mom the first black woman in a Coke commercial? Did I make that up, or is that
My
true?
mother, no, you did your research,
I
bro.
did. I did. I didn't want to waste your
My
time. So,
mother in 1956, Coca-Cola was doing a Negro project.
oh, is that what they called it?
That's what they call it, a Negro program. They wanted to figure out how they could sell more product to Negroes. And so
Okay.
they went to an HBCU in Atlanta, Georgia, called Clark College.
Yep.
And they interviewed several hundred black women. And my mother was chosen as the very first African American
Wow.
model that Coca-Cola ever hired. So
Wow.
if anybody wants to, they can just Google Mary Alexander Coca-Cola, and you will see my mother. Now, my father, a lot of people will ask me that they know my father's history. Do you know who Dad's second wife was?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go there because I don't know
No,
how.
that's fine. It's his
Oh yeah,
history.
that
Yeah.
is fascinating.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Dad's second wife was the Queen of the Blues, Dinah Washington.
Yeah.
And they were only married for 6 months, and she tragically died of an overdose of sleeping pills and alcohol while they were married. And then Dad,
He found her, right?
yeah,
Oh,
she died in her sleep,
man.
and he found her passed away here in Detroit. And so he didn't grieve too long. It took him about a year later he married my mother. So,
Wow. Yeah. I
yep.
mean, I think like I talked about at the beginning, like before you joined, I knew who Dick Knight Train Lay was. I knew as a player, as a Lions fan, I knew who he was. I did the research for this conversation, and
Hmm.
I was like, damn, I did not know, right? It is we don't need to, we should do a better job. And my producer Mike and I have talked a lot about, let's not just talk about the current team or the current games. This team does have a history and a lot of people don't know about it. And we can serve that purpose. And literally the next day, it's like God was listening and you hit me up. Like the next day you hit me up and said, I want to come on and talk about my pops. And I was like, there it is. Sometimes all you got to do is pay attention. Right.
Exactly. And
And he,
I was just going through. You came up on my page. I was like, what the hell
yeah.
is this? Well, first I saw this crazy fool with a Detroit Lions stuff. I'm like, okay, some idiot brother got a
Yep.
Detroit Lions podcast. I was like, okay, let me listen to this real quick. And I listened to it. I was like, okay, I like this. I like this. I was like,
I appreciate that.
let me throw some shout outs to him. But yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, dad had very humbling starts. And when I talk to a lot of kids nowadays, and I always say, I was telling you earlier, Dad always said, tell them who you are. Tell them. I was like, I'm nobody. But now that I'm preaching the word of God, I use whatever I can to lead people to the Lord.
Absolutely.
And I found many years ago that if I tell people that I'm the son of Night Train Lane, it gets people interested. They'll come and listen to the stories about Dad, but also listen to the stories about Jesus and my road. But one of the things I always tell the young people is, how Dad got his start. My grandmother, Dad was born in 1928. He was the bastard son of a prostitute.
Oh
He
wow.
was literally thrown away in a garbage can at 6 months old, left
Yeah.
for dead. A woman by the name of Ella Lane heard what she thought was a cat crying in the alley. She went out and saw this baby and raised the child as her own. So Lane is a foster name. Dad's birth name, his mother's name, my grandmother was Johnny Mae King.
Okay.
And if you did your research, again, you might have, if you dug deep enough, you realize that Dad played 1 year for the Negro Leagues,
Yep.
baseball, under the pseudonym of Richard King or
King.
Rich
Yeah.
King. And I didn't realize this until after he passed away. He actually played for the Kansas City Monarchs
Hmm.
and actually got a couple of hits off of Satchel Paige.
Yep. Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. But then I started thinking, and I was like, Dad had a really good friend. His name was Uncle Jesse. Uncle Jesse played pro baseball for a while. I didn't know where or when, until years later, I'm like, Jesse Williams. He actually was a very good Negro League
Yep.
baseball player.
Yeah.
And that was Dad's best friend in Chicago.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. Yeah.
Dad got his start in a very hard way. He was raised in the rough neighborhoods of East Austin, Texas, raised by pimps, hustlers, and prostitutes, literally. He fought his way out of the ghetto. He fought his way out of poverty. He was a 3-sport star: basketball, football, and baseball. Anderson, he's a legend at Anderson High School in East Austin, Texas. He then went on to serve in the military for 3 years in the United States Army. For my Army veterans. He then got out of the Army, got a job at an aircraft manufacturing company. And this is what I tell young people all the time. If there's any young people, even if it's some older young people, always follow your dream. Never, ever, ever give up on your dream. Never give up on your dream. Start where you are, use what you have, make something of it, and never give up. Well, Dad started where he was at this one time. He was an aircraft making airplane parts. He'd catch the bus and pass the LA Rams office every day. One day, he said, I'm going to use what I have. He got off the bus, knocked on the door, and said, I'm a football player. Give me a shot. He started where he was, right then and there. He pursued his dream. They gave him a shot. He made the team. Greatest free agent acquisition ever. And I'm not being biased just because he's my father. I understand. I'm a football historian. You tell me one greater, and I'll relinquish it to you. Yeah. He started where he was. He had that dream. He set an NFL record that year that still stands 70 years later. Yeah. He used what he had, and he never gave up. You never give up on your dreams. I don't care how young you are, how old you are. You never give up on your dreams. That's one thing Night Train Lane never gave up on himself. He never gave up on his talent.
Yeah, that is fantastic. It is quite an inspiration in every way. Inspiration to people in Detroit. Earlier I said he was one of the greatest Lions of all time. I stopped myself and said, no, he's one of the greatest football players of all time. And that was something that I learned in this. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk about this. You obviously, now that I get to call you Rev because we're friends, you're obviously welcome anytime you want to come on and talk football, life, ministry, anything. You are a friend of the Kool-Aid podcast, as we like to say. You can drink Kool-Aid with us anytime you want.
I have drank the Cornbread podcast Kool-Aid.
Love it. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad you had a chance to join us. We got to talk about your dad and his story. And like I said, anytime you want to join us, you can. I think your friends who joined, well, not that dude, that Dallas guy, but the other people, always thank you to my brother. Yeah. I don't have a bigger supporter than him.
He's smart. He's intelligent. Here we go. Listen to him, Kenny. I got you, dude. I got you.
Yeah, that's going over well. So hey, I appreciate it so much. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to keep in touch, obviously. And anytime you ever want to join, man, you're welcome. You know that.
Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to keep in touch with me, you can go to the website, richardlaneministries.com, richardlaneministries.com. You can hit me up on Facebook. Just do a search for Richard Lane on Facebook. Just do a Google search for Richard Lane. You'll see me out there. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much. Bless you and your family as well.
Hey,
you will be in my prayers.
Hey, God bless you. I appreciate you. You don't know. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
All right. Peace.
All right. Have a good one.